All right. Here is a rare digital edition of Hey, my friends made a thing. And the truly spectacular and amazing friend that I have here today is,
I'm Tinnel Lovett.
oh, Tinnel, thank you so much for being here. You're amazing, and I can't wait to share you with the world. Let's talk about all the cool shit you do.
I'm an artist and most people have a specialty. I feel like I'm a jack of all trades. I've been doing traditional art my entire life. And that really built a foundation for me. And then I went and put myself through digital art school and got a degree in multimedia gaming specifically because I had planned to do 3D art. And then, you get hired, you get fired, contract work. And so I
Yeah.
ended up working with Peter Atkinson for World of Caldea. And he has me do a little bit of everything. And honestly, I got hired to go back to the basics and do storyboard sketch art. And I expanded from there. So I've been just drawing by hand, whether it's digital or charcoal or live drawing for
Oh,
Peter for about over 4 years now, I think. And then I've taken on some other projects too because my big dream was to get published. So yeah, it's
and
been
how
a
you
lot
are?
this year.
It's okay. It's a lot. And this journey that you've gone on is so amazing because it's such a like quintessential artist journey of like
Yeah.
there and back again type, and then I was doing video game stuff and I learned digital art and now I'm back to doing storyboarding. Like, do you love doing storyboarding?
Yeah. So, I mean, it has grown from there and I wear a lot more hats now. Initially when I did storyboarding, it was really fun, but I was storyboarding for pages of the comic for World of Caldea, the graphic novel. And comic and graphic novel don't really fit because it's a multimedia novel. It's on YouTube. You can go watch it.
I'll look for it.
There's yeah, there's stories out there. And then on my website at tinnellovett.com, you can actually, I think I still have it up. I haven't updated my website in a long time. Uh, but I have the side by side of like what I did to kind of create the mood and lighting for the page
Mhm.
and to really quickly get it sketched out. And then we ship it off to a studio, and the studio does the line art, does the color art, and does the text effects. And then I would go over and do like a final pass and fix any like anything that they wanted, any details that they wanted fixed. And so when I started doing that, it grew
Mhm.
from not just being a storyboard artist, but also doing text effects, doing final production, doing, hey, can you actually like remake this thing? And then after that, it was like, oh, you can do a lot of stuff digitally. Can you make us overlays? Can you make us thumbnails for, our YouTube and our Twitch channel? And then
Oh gosh.
just this year, World of Caldea has been working with Gen Con, and we are Gen Con TV. And I am now the art director of Gen Con TV. And I make
Whoa.
sure that
Oh my God.
all the assets look and feel artsy and
I
clever and
didn't know
fun.
about that one. You're the art
Yeah,
director
no,
for Gen Con TV now too? Oh my God.
yeah. So we
Wow.
have a lot of shows and we're trying to, keep filling the week, but I'm in charge of making sure that things look fun. Like when you go to the Gen Con TV channel, things look and pop and feel like the show you're watching. If you're watching a show about news, you're seeing all these like icons and stuff about news and art. And then if you're watching a more artsy role playing game
Mhm.
show, then it feels like the role playing game has come to life and it feels like you're
Yeah.
opening an RPG book, right?
Make sure it
So,
feels immediate because that's one of the things that like really solid art design can do is make something feel immediate, visceral, kind of like
yeah.
there's a lot of things fighting for our attention on the internet, and I don't need to explain that to anyone. There's been so much, so many articles about it, but like
Yeah.
I really find there's something that only an artist can do as far as being just like, here's what's essential to convey. Here's the core part of what the story we're trying to tell you. And I mean, even a website is a story, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think what's really nice is that I've found this niche where it's like
Mm-hmm.
everyone's trying to tell a story at least within the, role play community,
Mhm.
that's more like fantasy based and more classic art based. And that's where I feel like I get to marry all my skill sets. Um, and that's where like a lot of the published work this year has made me so happy, because they didn't want digital. They didn't want cutting edge, like fast speed paint. They wanted like classic ink, classic charcoal.
Yeah.
And
I finally
the
put my art school education.
yeah, I mean, I can show you. I got my first book illustration published this year with Ben Riggs for Slaying the Dragon, and if you haven't read that, you absolutely should. If you have any interest in D&D, it is like, I have talked to a lot of people like Luke Gygax and
Mhm.
Peter Atkinson and a few other people that own game stores that are
Mhm.
older and were there when it was created. And
Yeah.
they said that reading this book was really like kind of ripping off a band-aid and seeing everything that was going on for the first time.
Yeah.
I actually have the book if you want to see it. This
Yes.
one.
Are you kidding? Okay, you guys, check out this book. Um, it's so
I'll
funny
hold it up a bit
that
longer.
you're talking about like old school D&D. One of the I think the reason it's so fun to play D&D with Peter is like how unabashedly old school he is. And that's the same thing I love about your art is how unabashedly, like how nakedly I can see
Yeah.
like turn of the century influences in your art. Like I can see, like 17, 1800s dead German and French dudes in your art. And you just unabashedly love that shit. And I can see that influence. And you're not trying to always like, you know, I think that's something so precious and something that like some art schools try to kind of beat out of you a little. They're like, oh, do your own thing. Don't show your
Yeah.
embrace your influences. And you've made it your own so magnificently. And I love that about your art.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah, art school, like my traditional art school, really pushes you to like try to be modern, try to think about art in this like
Mhm.
very detached
Yeah, they
gallery
do.
way.
Uh-huh.
But that's not illustration or fantasy art.
Mhm.
Fantasy art, you embrace a lot of the classic, ways of doing things. I
Yeah.
love inking, and that's what got me here, is that, I love my Art Nouveau, I love my Frazetta. I
Mhm.
love the kind of like ink work. And so this was really clever for for the author to have me do, because we had discussed,
Mhm.
how do we show Lorraine Williams and Peter Atkinson together, because of a lot of the controversy that surrounds the companies.
Mhm.
And this was a solution we created, and not only did I get published in this book, they
Yeah.
published it twice, because they rotated it and printed it in the back of the book, if I can get to it, which is just
I'm
like one of
so
those,
happy for you.
yeah, it's a
Like,
crazy feeling when
it's
this is a
so great.
subsidiary, it's a
My
subsidiary of
is
Macmillan. So
oh
it's like,
really?
yeah, St.
Nice.
Martin's Press, right? So here we go.
Yeah.
You have,
Oh, oh, that's beautiful, right? Because they had you design it like a playing card. And that's such a cool challenge as a designer, like as an artist to do that playing card design where it's reversible. That's beautiful.
yeah,
So
I love being able to rotate it.
I do too. Like, of course they're gonna that's your copy, right?
Yeah, this,
It is so exciting to get published. I was so disillusioned by my first time getting published. Because I
oh
was
no.
it was a poem. It was a poem. I was like,
Oh,
okay.
was
But
it in a collection?
yeah, no, as the years went by, I kind of figured out that it's one of those collections that just throws whatever people send in into it and like they don't care if
But
it's good
it's
or not.
still
And so I was like, it
published.
doesn't even count. It didn't mean anything. And I became so disillusioned. I was like, I'm never gonna submit anything to be published ever again. I'll do it myself. But like that you have been I feel like all of that bitterness and that like fine, I didn't want validation from the industry anyway. Like there's part of me that's like, no, that's so cool though. I want it.
Yeah, like it is. It's a cool, like
Legitimately
even
so
if it's
cool.
in
Yeah,
even if it's in a collection that you feel is like they took whatever, it's like it's a stepping stone, right? It's always a stepping stone. Um,
yeah.
and I would take that and be like,
Oh,
fine, I'll get into a real magazine of poetry, like turn it back on them.
yeah,
Um,
that's what I was like. I'm just gonna make Riot Girl scenes now. I just want like completely DIY. And then I never left because I never wanted to be betrayed by the man ever.
yeah.
Ever. I was like, you told me I was special, but I wasn't special. But like it is cool. And you should celebrate that. It's I'm so excited for you. And like seeing how excited you are, I'm 100% sure that other people around you can't help but be infected by that excitement, which is what I love about your art. Like when I look at your art, like whatever you think is cool and you draw it, I suddenly decide it's cool. Like you could draw something that I like I'm
Oh my gosh.
and I'd be like, all right,
You're like, okay, yeah.
okay.
Well, I'm trying to find it. I'm looking around. I'm in my studio, and
Yeah,
it was kind of funny to me that you said, "Oh, I'm probably not going to find it right this second." Um, but it was funny to me that you said "There and Back Again" because the very
yeah.
next publication that I'm in
Tell us about
is called "There and Hack Again,"
it.
and yeah. When you said that, I was like, "No way, no way."
Fucking pun title. Yeah, no.
So yeah, so there in Hack Again, talk about stepping stones, right? So like I
Yeah,
did the
yeah.
illustration for Ben Riggs with Slaying the
Uh-huh.
Dragon,
Yeah.
and then I got hired to do 3 2-page spread inked scenes for an indie RPG called There in Hack Again. And it's the creators of Prowlers and Paragons,
Mhm.
Lakeside Games, Leonard Pimentel. I probably butchered his last name. I'm sorry, Leonard. But
We'll
so
link
he
it.
hired
Don't worry.
me.
We'll link it below in the description. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. And this is out. It's out. And he made a beautiful cover. I got to draw a dragon. I got to draw these fantasy like giant tree nymphs that are just like, overlooking the party.
Are
I
they
mean,
hot?
it's yeah. Oh, they're so hot. And it's just
Awesome.
like
Good.
classic D&D adventure feel, and I was like, this is perfect. This is
Nice.
everything I've ever wanted to draw.
Nice.
And then so I did that. That's out. So now, I'm published twice. And then I have 2 more coming. And it's been insane. And one of my friends, they said, they're like, I think, because I told them, I was like, getting published has always been like a huge dream for me. Like, even if it's just one thing, I want that under my belt. I want to be able to say, I'm published. And they said, yeah, I think you materialized that wish a little too hard.
Because now I
Because
call
now
you and you're like, I don't know when I'm gonna sleep again. I don't even know what
yeah,
it is.
yeah.
It's
I'm
just
like,
so
do you see
fucking
the bags
busy.
in her hand? Like I haven't
Yeah,
like it's just
yeah.
all happened at once, right?
I know.
So it's all this year. It's all this year. It's Slaying the Dragon, it's There and Hack Again, and then coming up 10/10 next month, which I'm crunching for right now, which
Yeah,
is
you
why I
are.
was like,
So I appreciate the time you're
um,
taking, believe me.
yeah,
So
is
what's
The
happening in
Crown.
1010? Hmm?
Yeah, The Crown.
The Crown.
So The Crowned
Yeah.
is an RPG game that's being written right now by formerly Feral Games, and their Kickstarter launches October 10th. And that
Wonderful.
one is huge. That is over 65 pieces of art in color by me, and
Wait,
no other
you
artist is
did
in the book.
65 color pieces just for this game?
Just for this game. It is big and it is a
Oh,
cool game. It is a very cool game. I'm really excited for it, and I'm going to be like blasting on social media about it.
yeah,
But
me
you
too.
get to play a god, and you can be the god of anything. You can be god of bubblegum, you can be a god of volcanoes, you can be god of whispered thoughts, and the whole game is centered around this futuristic city, the loop, and well, a lot of different things. I'm not explaining it very well.
No, that's all right.
Go get on the email list and they'll explain it better. I'm just the artist.
You have to tell these guys to come run it on the server and we'll all play it. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
love a Kickstarter that it releases just in time for spooky season because like
Oh
that's
yeah.
how to play all of the horror games.
So I
And
do have an ink illustration on that. So this is one of the
yes.
ink works I did.
Oh,
And so there's like a little bit of body horror in this game, and the clade is the 10 gods that their crowns have they have crowns because their power has started to manifest through their heads. So that doesn't happen to everyone. It only happens to like the clade, which is like the old gods.
I love
And
it.
so these are butterflies made of bone protruding from his head to make a crown. And I've painted this. This is just the ink work. What's great about this book is like I convinced them to let me do traditional ink work and then paint so that it keeps that hand of the artist in there. And so the art doesn't look like your normal, speed painting art. It has this very like classic quality for a futuristic setting, which I think is really cool. It's just like this really different look.
Really hard to get people in today's industry to let you do traditional art. Like,
yeah,
it was like, oh, I need an artist for a commission. And I'm like, I was in a car wreck last month. So I was like, fuck it, I'll do it.
Yeah.
You're like, I want it done digital. And I'm just like, oh, come on, dude. Which is fine. It's fine. But like, there's just, if I see trad art in anything, I get super excited because it's like, oh, somebody sat down and that's on paper. There was the ink that was put on paper, and that's there's something extra sexy about this. Speaking of, I want to show everyone a drawing that you did in my sketchbook. So I have this like little shitty.
This is how we met. You like handed me a thing. You're like, hey, you're an artist. Oh my gosh, I have stuff. Here you go. Draw something.
I have like this travel palette, watercolor palette. It's literally just like these are not.
I love it. I want them.
But what they are is very personable. So I have these and I was just like, here, do something. And Tinnel just literally sits down, makes me this little guy. The fucking cutest ass thing. I treasure it. Guys.
I love it.
We should name this little cutie.
Oh, you should totally name him. Him, her, them. I don't know. Do you want it? I was thinking of it as a him for some reason.
Okay, well that's fine. It can be a he. What's a good name? I don't know. We'll have to think of. Well, let's do something from one of your projects.
Oh, okay. So the Crowned has.
Are there any cool names from that? Has to be something kind of lighthearted though. We don't want to doom.
We want lighthearted.
To a dark fate or sprouting bone thorns.
No, I don't know. Well, okay. So there's this god Caprice who is very mischievous. If you kind of had to describe them, and they have their crown, so they're like a kind of like a party god. I don't know. My understanding is like this big because I'm just like I need to draw them.
Tell me more. I don't know why you thought I especially would be interested in a chaos god named Caprice. Hot. Oh my god.
So we decided that they have this coat, and the coat is like this giant poofy leather coat, and if you look at the chair legs as a belt, so this turns into a chair wherever they want it to. So they just like turn it into a coat and have it with them at all times because that's like their little throne chair. And then their crown is liquid, and so the liquid is whatever is going on at the time, whether that's like wine, semen, rave drugs, I don't know. Like it's like, so Caprice is just like this, I don't know, I just have this like wicked sense of humor about them, and like and I feel like if there was any god that this little lizard guy was like hanging out with, it would be Caprice.
No, we need to protect him from such naughty influences. No, it's not.
You don't think he'd be like, like the tongue that shoots out or something, like to give you a kiss,
Oh.
just be like,
Well,
but,
okay, maybe
but,
Caprice
but,
is protective. It's all right. He can go hang out with Caprice once in a
maybe he's
while.
innocent and Caprice keeps him around to like remind her to be like fun and innocent
I like that.
sometimes.
I like that. I play a character in the Scion game that's very much like this kind of trickster devil kind of character. And like your theme, the Liquid Crown, reminds me of how important liminality is to so many like trickster gods and trickster characters. Because like
Oh yeah.
the idea of like being liminal and shapeshifting, like that's a really important thing for me too.
Yeah.
Whenever people are like, so what's your whole gender deal? I'm like, don't make me be a thing.
Like don't put me in a box. Like
Put me in a
we're
box, man. Which makes me sound like such a teenager
oh
because I do not care.
no. So what's funny is I have a number of really amazing Christians in my life that are super supportive of the whole community.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I just heard from a Christian
Hmm.
the best description for wanting to not be put in a box. They were like, this, get this. They're like,
Okay.
because they're like, this is how I explain it to my children.
Okay.
You have a body. Your
Uh-huh.
body is this much of you. You have
Uh-huh.
a soul, and it's this much of you.
Ooh.
And your body doesn't necessarily fit every single piece of your soul.
Yeah.
It's just your physical self in this world.
Yeah.
You find whatever piece of your soul at whatever time fits you most, and that's also you. And I was just like, isn't that just beautiful? I was just like, it's so heartwarming to hear that come from such an unexpected place of support.
Yeah, which is it's crazy that it's unexpected. But America.
Well, that's the world we live in.
Right, right. But like, no, that's actually a really good point. And that's actually like very gospel legit of like, like the human experience is supposed to be understood as such a complex and beguiling and ineffable and bewitching thing that like to be a drag about it is just very not on.
Well,
I mean,
it's kind of
right.
counter-human if you think of it.
Mhm.
Like
Like
to be
everything,
unaccepting of someone who has a completely different, like we're all like this, right?
yeah,
Someone is they can only experience the world through themselves, and you can get close, you can get like this, right?
yeah.
But this, you're only seeing this, their whole self is all this other stuff that you don't get to see, and it just like
Oh,
and so I think to put anyone down or to exclude anyone's thoughts of not only like you know other people but of themselves in particular, because we're never privy to all of this, is
right.
just so inhuman.
Yeah.
It just is.
Internality of every single person, just worlds within worlds, everyone having their own internality and that being such like this huge and complex thing. Um, yeah, exactly. The idea that you can judge someone just based on this tiny little sliver of what we see and the mood that they're in
Yeah,
that day. It's like if you stopped and thought about it for even
yeah,
2 minutes, you would be like, what? No, that's
yeah,
really stupid. And yet we all do it every day because we're just like, clearly
yeah,
I can extrapolate everything I need to know about you from
right.
this 30-second interaction.
Yeah, yeah. Or from this like short interview, right? Like I'm
Right.
just like throwing everything at you. I feel like we
No,
just
tell
like
us
took a
literally
dive into the deep. We're
everything.
like, so deep.
Tell us everything we need to know about you. Give us the entire
Everything.
Lovett experience.
Exactly.
Okay, so let me ask you this question because Zoom has just informed me that we have a time limit. What the fuck?
That's okay. We can keep it short.
That's okay. So tell me something that is happening in your industry, whether that's art or gaming or whatever it is that you're super hype about, like an idea, a philosophy, a trend, whatever, that just gets you really excited and hopeful.
Well, like this has been such like a fluid conversation. I mean, basically on the tail end of what we were just talking about,
Yeah.
of like being inclusive, of you know, all these different aspects of people. One of my favorite things is when you actually can find companies now that are including different cultures, different
I know.
mythos, different
Yes.
mythologies. And just to be specific and give
Mhm.
an example, is this guy that I ran into at Comic-Con, and I keep seeing him at every convention, and he's expanding, and I'm like, yes, is Paymaster Games.
Uh-huh.
I talked to
Oh,
this guy, Mark Mann, the design
okay.
creator. So these are non-traditional miniatures. These are miniatures of tribes and clans and historically accurate cultures
That,
from like Polynesia, from
oh,
Aztec, Mayan. I mean, look at the, I don't know if you can see this, but like
oh my
those are
God.
the mythical creatures that he's making. And
Oh my
get this,
God.
if you live in the Seattle area or anywhere on the West Coast, he came out with a Salish tribe, and
Yes,
yeah,
yes. Oh,
he yeah, there so you can see yourself in miniatures, in games, and he made a
yes.
game where like you pick your historic clan and you just go to battle with another historic clan, and it's like
That's so
he
cool.
made a very simple game that you can use
Yeah.
to play with these miniatures, and it's just like the expanding inclusiveness, right? Like my
Yeah, I
heart
was
is
actually
just
just talking with Evie in another interview about a fiber artist about making history visceral, something you could touch with your
yes,
fingers. Because I really think you can read about something in a book or even played in a role-playing game. Those are all great empathy building exercises. But if I
yeah,
can look at something and hold it in my fingers and move it across the table and go,
yeah,
my guy, pa, like
yeah,
things become possible, they bury themselves into your brain. Suddenly, we can put ourselves in the positions of other people, other states of being, other lives, just
yeah,
so much more easily. I mean, they say, like, I thoroughly believe empathy always comes from familiarity. If we know about it,
yeah,
familiar with it, if it becomes every day to us, we're not going to be such a dick about it. And that's
yeah,
oh, it's finally starting. I've been waiting for this shit my whole life.
yeah.
Say, like,
Like,
oh,
yeah, like that's the whole point, is like we are so saturated with a very specific type of mythology, you
yeah,
know, fairies and dragons, European, Eurocentric mythos. And like
of
what people don't realize is like the whole world has mythos.
course,
Like Africa has fairies. They were bright colored fairies with all
yes,
the butterfly wings. And
yes,
like you
yes.
don't point at rainbows because that's a serpent crossing the sky and you don't want to get the attention. So like there's this mythology out there, like from anyone and
like,
everyone around the world, and
like, why would
it's
you?
finally being included.
I I'll never forget when Old Vampire had an entire book all about LA, and then they published Bless 'em Africa, vampires in Africa, and it was like a book for all the vampires in all of Africa, but they also have a book all about LA, which is like, okay,
Yeah,
at least they did that book. But like, why would you replicate European vampires all across the planet when the Philippines exist? Who are literally the
right.
coolest fucking monsters on the whole fucking planet. Like, it's baffling to me. And now there's like there's an animated show all about like a Filipino monster hunter, which is like
Oh
I'm obsessed with it. And we're finally getting a slightly more global view of like all the cool mythology
yeah,
that's out.
yeah.
This is the best answer. So
A plus.
yes,
Check.
A plus.
Did it. I did it.
No. Yes, we did it. I'm gonna show everyone this little guy. You guys definitely need to know, update your website.
Nah.
You need to check out Tinnel's art because what an amazing creative mind that we have the good fortune of enjoying. And I'm so excited for all of your projects. Send
Yeah,
me all the links and I will link them
I will send
below.
you all the links. So
Yes,
many
thank
links.
you so much for taking time. I know that you're just a little bit busy lately, just a little bit.
Thank
Um,
you, Crown. Thank you, Damon.
well, thanks for coming to talk to me today. Let's wave to everyone.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.